So, welcome back. I'm joined now with USC Communications Officer Carolyn Hawthorne. Carolyn, where's your favorite spot to study?
My favorite spot to study was the 4th floor on Weldon.
Yeah.
Right by the windows.
Nice.
Yes.
I once studied in the law library, and I realized after that I was called a snail, which is a student not actually in law school.
Oh.
And I took up spaces at the law library. So I'm sorry if anyone at law is watching for my occupancy in your library. It was nice though. So Carolyn, we're here to talk about what the USC and like media relations in London, how they work together. But before I get to that, a lot of students have been affected by the LTC job action.
Right.
Can you explain what's going on?
Sure. Well, currently the LTC has decided that bus drivers will not be doing any overtime. So it's kind of like a work to rule, so no voluntary overtime. So what students can expect from this is buses, very busy buses such as the 6, that usually get those extra magical buses when things are getting a little crowded. They won't be there anymore. So expect crowded buses for right now.
Okay. And how long is this going to last for? Do we know?
We're not 100% sure, but both the union and management at LTC has promised UWO and USC knowledge of what's coming up, so they're going to be giving us a little bit of a heads up in case there is a strike or when things do get resolved.
So they will give us notice if they go on strike.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's really good for a lot of students. And one thing to note is that the HBK shuttle buses that we're traveling on right now will not be affected by this strike. So if you do use the inter-campus buses that are blue and say About Town on the outside, those are the buses that won't be affected by this strike if it does occur. Awesome. So the number one watch video, we all know what we're talking about. It wasn't Fuss in the Bus, that's okay. But next time, hopefully this one. But it was a very popular video, and the USC released a statement on it. And the LTC is something that's affecting students, and the USC released a media release on it. How does that work? Like, how do you guys create media releases, and what is the purpose of one? And
It's a really good question. The USC, how we created media releases, obviously we assess the information that we've been given. We assess whether or not this is something that students are affected by. We sit down, myself, Emily, Scott Cordes, and we discuss some of the key messages that students need to hear. And we devise a media release, which goes to internal, which is UWO, and certain sort of media outlets at the USC, such as the Gazette. And then we also have a really local media release, which will be going to places like the London Press. So just lets everyone know what's going on and what the USC is doing for students, and just making sure that everyone's keeping informed.
okay, so it's what would be the criteria for releasing a media release?
I think that's the wonderful thing about a media release is that it can be something like the LTC Works Rule, or it can be something like the USC Haunted House, or the USC Call to Artists for our art gallery. So it all depends on some of the key messages that we're trying to get across. So it can be informational both on something like the strike or the police incident, or something telling students in the outside community to get involved within the Westerns.
Cool. And if they want to contact you, how do they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. Contact me at USC at UWO.ca.
Okay.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carolyn, for joining us on Fuss
See
in the
you
Bus.
later.
And again, USC at UWO.ca. And right beside me, actually, Brandon, we're going to have a quick segment called OUSA with Sousa. So this is Brandon Sousa. He is the USC Municipal Affairs Commissioner. And basically, before I even talk about what OUSA is, what is lobbying?
Okay, well, lobbying is the act of presenting ideas as well as persuasion to a form of government, whichever level it be, municipal, provincial, or federal.
Okay, so OUSA is one of the lobbying groups that the USC supports. And what does OUSA stand for, and what does it do?
Well, OUSA is the Ontario University Students' Alliance, and they represent 7 alliance schools, which is Western, McMaster, Windsor, Queens, Brock, and
Laurier,
thank you.
Okay, there's a lot.
There was a lot of people at this conference this weekend. However, we take ideas through a steering committee as well as through delegates and bring them to the provincial government, as well as whatever MPs and MPPs that support those provincial and federal policies on post-secondary education.
Okay, and so what did you guys talk about this past weekend? There was a general assembly of some sort?
Right, actually I brought my trusty little delegate package that they handed out.
Awesome.
And we had a 2-day session where the Saturday was breakout sessions where we talked about focus groups and dealt with issues such as financial repayment policies in regards to OUSA, setting up that formula. But our main one that we did focus a lot of time on was student success and how we can make sure that Ontario undergraduate university students can be successful in accessibility, successful in their academics, and successful in all other opportunities, whether it be in the classroom or outside.
Cool. So it was a good meeting.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
And Western obviously did a good job representing its students.
Western has the largest amount of votes on the block. We have 9 delegates that go to the conference. Next is, I guess, MAC with 7. So we do have a lot of influence on the changes that happen in Ontario for secondary education.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions about what OUSA does or how you guys can get involved with the OUSA making process, go ahead. You guys can go. No worries. Make sure you guys email us at fussbus@gmail.com. And also, we're going to wrap it up with some cool facts. Just so you know, the Globe and Mail every year releases their report on Canadian universities. And so one of the things that is really great is Western normally comes in #1. So, released this past Thursday, or last week at least, you can read it in Western News. We are #1 in the country for most satisfied students, for quality of education, for teaching, for course availability, for student services, for recreation and athletics, for building and facilities, for student residences, for libraries, and for campus atmosphere. So, Brandon, and this goes to everyone out there, why do you think we have such a good rating? Like, what do you think makes such a great campus atmosphere?
Well, just in general, there's all these different aspects of Western that work together to promote such an unbelievable environment here. We've even seen, as of now, our President Emily Rose has been committed to a Western spirit, and that has just been covered through every aspect, whether it be athletics, whether it be extracurriculars, whether it be just even the academics, and it's just an enriched environment that we grow up in. It's unbelievable.
Cool. If you guys have any questions about the Globe and Mail report, you can go to globecampus.ca. And I think that sums it up for today's episode. Thank you for everyone joining me. Thanks to Matthias, to Carolyn, and to Brandon, and to all the students who participated in our little survey about your favorite spots on campus to study. If you do have any questions about Fuss on the Bus, or you want to be on the show, or have a comment about what we discussed here on the show, email me at fussbus@gmail.com. And thanks for joining us. Thank you, Brandon, and we'll see you next time on Fuss on the Bus.